Hi everybody, it's Stephanie with Creating with Stamps. I just wanted to share with you this month's Paper Pumpkin. For those of you that are not familiar with Paper Pumpkin, it's a kit that's a subscription kit, comes directly to you in the mail every month for $22 in the US. You get all the products you need to complete the projects for the kit. This month's kit is the Winter Woods. I will put a link in the description below to the Paper Pumpkin if you're interested in subscribing. If you subscribe and under me, then I have a Paper Pumpkin Facebook page where I show alternative designs and stuff for the to give you ideas of what else you can do with a product from the kit. And on the kits, it tells, or in the kits, on the instructions, it tells you like what your kit includes. It tells you your coordinating colors. So for this kit, it's Early Espresso, Night of Navy, Pool Party, Poppy Parade, and Shaded Spruce. They have some alternative projects here that you can find it's just on a website. I wasn't sure if it's Facebook or not. I couldn't remember. So that link is included. You get instructions step by step on how to do your projects in your kit. They're all very, very simple to do. Sometimes it's a few more instructions, but it's never like a overwhelming, you can't handle it type of thing. That's why I love it. You can take this box. It comes in the box like this. I already opened mine. This is what gets delivered to your door. This month's kit also coordinates with next month's kit, so you'll be able to to share more than one project that's they're coordinating. So when you subscribe, when you get your first box, if you're a new subscriber, Stampin' Up provides you with the block. I don't know if you can see that, the clear block, and this is the size of the one that they provide you with. That clear block will work for any stamp set that comes in any of the Paper Pumpkin kits. This is this month's stamp set that came in the kit. This is a 6-piece set. Great thing is now you have a mini stamp set, which you can use on whatever projects you want. They also include in their kits the Stampin' Up spots. This month's is Night of Navy. You can collect those. You get at least one. Sometimes they have 2 colors they use. It just depends on who's doing the designing for the boxes. Everything comes bundled together inside of your box on this chipboard, so that it keeps it from being all bent up even though it's inside of a box. Sometimes they don't get handled the nicest by the mail carriers, so it just kind of is a little bit more prevention, keeps it from bending it all up. So this month, here's what we have. We have some snowflakes that are the sequins. We have 10, let me double check, I think it's 10 card bases that we're doing. Yeah, 10 card bases. They're all the same, but isn't that adorable? I love that. That can be used for Christmas, or it can be used for a birthday, winter, or whatever, just because card. So you get 10 of those card bases. You get 10 of the foil lined or foil or edged envelopes that match the card design. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. There's a lot of noise going on outside today. I have neighbors getting all kinds of yard work done and stuff. It's a nice day today. It's not raining. It's sun's out. So I guess everybody's decided they're going to have their trees trimmed and their front porches, fixed. So it is what it is. My studio's in the front of the house, so there's really no escaping it. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad and I can get through this before it gets out of control. But they include the adhesive for whatever adhesive that you're going to need for this project is included in the kit every month. So this month there is the mini glue dots that we're going to be using, or adhesive spots. Adhesive dots is what they're calling them. I'm just used to calling them the glue dots because that's what I use. And then the mini Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. And then we have, there's 2 of each of these pages. They kind of stick together. You just need to be careful when you're separating them. Your sentiments, some die cuts there. Oh, it's like one of my little cardinals trying to escape. Some little cardinal cut or die cuts, and the trees. So I don't know if it's going to show up on film, but there's a glimmery side of these trees, and there's a plain side. So when we're doing this project, we're going to want to make sure that we have the glimmery side up. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to walk you through making one of the cards just to show you how, how simple it is and how quickly it can be done. I only want to do one today because I'm going to try to beat all this noise so that hopefully it doesn't get too loud by the time we're done. So I'm going to take the card base. I always like to bring in my bone folder and just give it an extra score so that it's flat when I'm working with it. Open up the instructions. And step 1 says to stamp the snowflake texture on the card base. So we're going to grab the stamp set and we're going to grab our block. And I'm going to be using my Simply Chamois to clean my stamps in between, because I'm going to show you that you only need 1 block to use to make this card set. So it looks rough, but it works great. I love this. You can order this on my website, www.creatingwithstamps.com. I'll put the link below. All you use is water with that. You just rinse it out, wring it out, and it's good to go. If it starts getting dry around the edges a little bit, you just go ahead and get it wet and wring it out, and it works. I love it. There's no spraying chemicals or anything on it. So, all right. So we're going to use the snow background. And I'm going to pull in my big stamp set, or my big ink pad, just because it's easier for me right now. Everybody has preferences. For what I do with the little the ink spots is I have 2 littles that are at home, and so that's what they get to use. It's the perfect size so that they're not gonna make a huge mess everywhere. That's just what I do with them, but I love getting them. I mean, they're great to have on hand. So okay, so we're just going to ink this up, and I'm just going to put a couple hopefully that's in camera there. Yeah, just like that. So I'm going to just go ahead and bring in my chamois. Sorry about the jiggling. Just a couple twists, clean as can be. And we're going to be done with that. So the next step is to stamp the sentiment on the die cut label, which is this section of them. I'll slide that over a little bit. So I think, let's see, the sentiments are season's greetings and winter wishes that will work on that. So I'm going to use the season's greetings because I'm going to use these as a Christmas card. If you just wanted to use them as a just because card, the winter wishes, works great. I when I'm doing sentiments, this is a great thing about the photopolymer stamp sets is that you can see through them. So I lay them on my grid paper and make sure that they're straight. And then I just set my block on top of it. Because for me to eyeball it to put it on here, I struggle. And I've been doing Stampin' Up! For 6 years. So it's just my little tip or trick. So I'm going to ink this up. And I'm only going to do 1 card, like I said. But if you were doing all of your cards... Okay. Oops, I kind of goofed a little bit. That was mine because I pulled it up and then set it back down. But it's okay. It's handmade, right? So... Okay. If you, like I was saying, if you were going to do all the cards in your kit, I would just do every step on every card base at the same time. So like I'd do all the snow on here. Then I would come through and I would stamp all the sentiments just It makes it a mass production. It makes it much quicker to get it done. So we're going to pop this out. So we're going to adhere the trees, which is this set, to the card base using dimensionals. So make sure, like I said, the glittery side, hopefully you can see that. We're going to make sure that that's up when we put the dimensionals on. Use caution when you're popping these out of the base, because it's paper and they'll rip if you just manhandle them. I mean, it's nice. It's a decent thickness paper. It's a nice thickness paper, but it's still paper. So we make sure we got the shiny side. The glittery side is going to go down because I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. If I can, oh, there they are. And I'm going to put them down. So on this big space, I like to make sure that I put enough dimensionals to give it support. So I usually do one in each corner, one across the middle. Oops, I just ripped that little one off. And then I do one in the center like that. That's just my preference. Now a tip, and Stampin' Up! Is really good about including tips for you to help you to make sure that you don't struggle to do your projects. So their tip for this was to cut the dimensionals in half. Now it makes it a little bit more trickier to use them, and then put them on the trees, because you want to put a couple on the trees, but the mini dimensionals are just a little bit too wide to fit as a full dimensional on the tree. So you're just going to go ahead and just take your snips and put them in, and it doesn't matter where you put them, that's up to you with the placement. I just kind of try to make sure that I have a good balance so that they don't look like they're sinking down in the middle. See, I even waited this afternoon to do this video because I knew that they were doing some work across the street and no one had come and no one had come. So I'm like, well, maybe they're not doing it today. And then I come in and set up for my video, and guess what? So I apologize again for that. Okay, so then you're just going to go ahead and peel the backs off. So sometimes it's hard to tell if they're off or on. So you just tap it with your finger and it sticks to it if they're not there. See, like that one I was struggling with. I thought it was still there. It wasn't. Okay. So then you're just going to line this up with the bottom corner. And if you line it up with the bottom corners like that, then everything else will just fall into place. Let's see how that gives it a nice pop up. Okay. So the next step, we're going to take this step 3. We're going to take the sentiment that we stamped, and we are going to take one of the wood grain labels. And we're going to use the dimensionals again. Oops, wrong side. I'm going to put the dimensionals on the back of this. And I'm going to line them up with the inside of that point. One on each end, just so that I know that it's going to set in the center. So it'll be in contact with that, I should say. And then I'm going to put a couple more in the middle. Again, just because I don't like a saggy middle. peel those backings off. Okay. And I like to use my grid paper to keep things as straight as I can. I just line it up with the grid marks. And just center it. Oop. Okay. And now we're going to use the glue dots. The adhesive dots is what they're calling them here. And I'm just going to take my snips and peel off the backing. And then I just we're going to put them on the back of this wood grain. And if you just push the paper down on that, it pulls that glue dot right up. I don't know if you can see that very well. It pulls it right up on your paper. It minimizes the hassle sometimes, because sometimes they stick to your fingers, like if you try to pull them up off there, and you know, they stick to your finger. Sometimes they stick to your finger no matter how you do it. So this is the trick I use. I use it with our rolls that we sell in Stampin' Up of the glue dots also. See, look, that one's just gonna stick, so I'm just gonna put him down there. Even with like I use that when I put my bows on and stuff. And then you're just gonna lay it down there. And I know this one's a little bit smudged, but it's a demonstration, so I'm not super concerned about that. I still have 9 other cards in that kit that I can use. So there's that. And we are going to take the cardinals. I don't know if you can tell by looking at this poor little guy's like upside down in there. If you look at the card, they're facing each other. So one goes one direction, the other goes the other. So make sure you pop out the pairs. So I'm just going to pop those 2 out. And again, I'm going to bring in the glue dots. And I'm going to pick up the little birdie. Put one little glue dot on him. But just be careful when you pull it off, you don't pull too hard and rip them in half, because they're just little paper pieces. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to stick him on a tree. Let me see where I'm going to stick him at. Where do I want to place? Let's see where they have them. Okay, so they have this one on this tree down here. And obviously you can put them wherever you want on the tree. And you can, you know, if you want to change something up about these kits when you get them, that's the beauty of it. That's if you want to add a different color card base, you know, I mean, that's why they give you the coordinating colors on the list. So there's those. Now, these are a little bit trickier because they're a little bit smaller to do. So the sequins, they're you know, they're tiny. I don't know if anybody that's really got good fingers. If I had I mean small fingers, good, that would work well with these. How's that? If I had tweezers, I would use tweezers, but I do not, and I might need to look into getting some of those. So I'm going to, if I can pick up my adhesive dots, peel a couple of those backings off, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stick the snowflake on them. Same thing I did with the birds, and pull it off together, and then just randomly just stick it on the card, wherever you want to stick it. It's your card. Does not have to be an exact replica of the way they have them designed, but if that's easier for you and that's how you work, then the work is done for you because they've already got it all laid out and you just follow the step-by-step directions. Okay. And it says 5 per card. Stampin' Up! Usually always gives you, I don't think I've ever had a kit where I haven't had extra supplies. So that's the beauty of it. No, the card bases, they give you enough to make the 10 cards, but it's usually the consumable products, which are like the glue dots, the dimensionals, the birds, the sentiment cards, the stuff like that. They usually give you some extra of those. So, and there you go. There's that card, all done. Simple as that. Now, what I'm gonna do, because this is just how I am, is I'm going to actually take this sentiment, I almost said cinnamon, and I'm going to stamp this inside the card. So excuse me, get this open back up again. And this says, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And because I'm using it as my Christmas cards. Be very careful because I don't know if you've noticed here, I got a little bit of a smudge there, but because I got a little bit on my finger. That happens. So there's that card, and you get enough to make 10 of these cards, like I said, and you have the envelopes to go with them. And so I always like to dress up my envelope a little bit too, because it's just nice to get a pretty envelope in your mail. I don't do a lot of fancy on it because sometimes they get pretty torn up through the mail, unfortunately. But so I'm just going to take the big snowflake that came in it, and just going to add him down here. I have to go off just a little bit so that there's room. And there you go. And that's one card, and like I said, an envelope, and you get 10 with the kit. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will put the links below to the for the sign up for the stamping or for the paper pumpkin. You can visit my website at www.creatingwithstamps.com. I will also link that below to pick up any of the extra stuff that coordinates with the kit if you don't already have it. Inks, cardstock, the snips, the adhesive, any of that extra stuff. Or if there's something else that you are interested in through Stampin' Up. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Thank you.